All right, man. 7 minutes in, we finally got our levels good. Seriously. All right. So this is my first ever NBA podcast on this particular channel. This is the SMT Media Network. And what we're going to be doing with this particular podcast is discussing the state of the NBA. And the NBA has a lot of really good things going for it. There's a lot of people out there that really try to shit on the league and can't find anything good about it and just want to talk about all the weakness and all the the things that need to be fixed or worked on, and I can pick 20 things that I would want to fix in the NBA right now. But I'm not going to do that with my podcast, and I'm not going to do that on my channel. And what I want to do is celebrate the good things, and I've been making content that reflects that. If you guys have been watching my videos, I make videos on the Detroit Pistons. I make videos on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I cover the teams that the mainstream media, lamestream media won't cover. They don't want to talk about the Cavs. They don't want to talk about the Pistons. They don't want to talk about the OKC Thunder. And I get it. They're not LA. They're not the Lakers. They're not the New York Knicks. They're not, these high profile, large media type of towns and markets. But I don't care because I'm doing this because of my love for the game. I'm doing this because of what the league has to offer that's positive and good. And that's a lot of the stuff that doesn't get covered in the lamestream media. I don't need to give you guys the talking points from Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless or Shannon Sharp or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I just don't need to do that type of stuff. What I'm going to focus on is the game itself. Right? Occasionally, from time to time, something hits the news media and you want to get get the buzz going within the channel and you want to catch things within the algorithm and get traffic. So I might do some of that from time to time, but I really just want to cover like the actual hoops. I want to cover the game. I want to cover the players. I want to cover, I want to do deep dives into film studies. I want to look at schemes and coaches and, the playoffs and all those things, but I want it to be hoops and I want it to be the game. Sure, we could talk about our favorite players. We could talk about, who we think is the greatest and what makes them great and those kind of things. But I don't want this to be a podcast or a channel that is one-dimensional, is one-sided, because basketball is dynamic and the league is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Yo, shout out to Angry Skips. What up, Angry Skips? When you're going to do a stream, channel has become a favorite of mine. Always appreciate your insight on the sport. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay, so, yeah, we're going to be doing streams. I'm going to try to stream at least once a week. I'm going to try. And if things come up and they're really important and it's really big, there's some news, there's a big development in a game, you never know. I might do a random stream on like a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Sunday night. It's just really hard. I got a fam, I got a full-time gig, I got another monetized YouTube channel, but I love the game. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to do this podcast, make content on this channel. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to continue to try to improve, get better, and not let detractors and, ugly comments get in the way of me making stuff that I like and I hope others can appreciate too. So appreciate you, Angry Skips. Welcome to the community and the channel, and I'm just excited about this, man. All right. So here's what we're going to do, right? I'm going to start with the first topic here. This has to be like, I think, the worst news of the season, in my opinion. Kyrie Irving is one of my favorite players of all time. And there's several reasons why. So from like a basketball purist standpoint, Kyrie Irving is one of the most talented players I've ever seen play the game. His skill level is impeccable. This guy has a very, very diverse way of scoring the rock. He's nasty with the pill. The handles, his dribbling, and not just like that part, but knowing where to be on the floor, right? Offensively and defensively. Like, he knows where he wants to get to in terms of spots on the floor. He knows how he can score from those particular locations against certain players, certain defenses. His shooting is really good. very consistent, very reliable. There's really not a place on the floor he can't score. And very typically, if it's within like 15 feet, this guy can shoot with both sides, right? Left hand, right hand. He's not like a high-flying dunker, but he's so good around the rim. The spin, the English off the backboard. Like I was speaking to, the left hand, the right hand. Has he kisses off the glass. I've seen him finish at the rim before too. The fadeaway. You know, like, it's a masterclass in hard work and becoming automatic. And the fact that he shoots the three-point shot proficiently, he shoots free throws proficiently, just very good player. And I think something that's very, very underrated and underappreciated about Kyrie is defensively, he's very, very smart. He's actually a good defender. Anybody who tells you Kyrie Irving is a weak defender is not watching. It's not easy for a guard to defend a pick and roll. Like, you have to be very aggressive. You have to fight through screens. You have to play anticipation. You kind of try to figure out where you need to be in the next step. In a league where they run pick and roll every damn time down the floor. And he plays it pretty well. And he plays passing lanes. And he'll defend his position. There's not many guards that he can't stay in front of, right? In a league where the offensive player has the advantage, right? They get all the calls. You know, the referees are going to blow whistles. So you really got to move your feet. You really got to try to be smart with your hands and not pick up a bunch of fouls. I see intelligent defense from Kyrie. I'm not saying he's Gary Payton. I'm not saying he's Jordan or Kobe. None of those things. He's not that type of defender. But he's a good defender. He's very serviceable. He is not a bad defender at all. And his defensive IQ is very good. So there's a lot of anticipation and kind of knowing where to be. He tore his ACL last week. And this was devastating. I know it's devastating to him. But for fans of the game and people that appreciate his game and what he's stood for his entire career and kind of the evolution of who he's become, Kyrie Irving is a redemption story. This guy was shit on by everybody, including the national media, LeBron James, all those pundits that talk about him in the media. You know, Stephen A. Smith was targeting him for a while, that whole situation in Brooklyn. They made him seem like he was selfish. They made him seem like he was a malcontent. And actually, none of that was even true. But they ran with that. And that became the story, and that became what Kyrie was to the media and to people who listened to national media, which was bullshit. Every single teammate of Kyrie's that really got to know him, and especially probably since he left Boston, I think there's been the evolution of him as a man. So since that point, I think he's learned a lot about himself. He's learned a lot about how to deal with people in the media. And he's taken steps forward to be better. And his game is still elite and special. Even though he's in his... I don't know, what season is Kyrie Irving in? I mean, I remember him as an all-star in 2014. You know, he's 32 years old. I think he was drafted, he was probably 19. Right? So he's a veteran. 13 years in the league, something like that, I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at all that, but you know, Kyrie is accomplished, and I think it's about damn time people start celebrating this guy before it's too late, because Lord knows if he's going to come back the same player after a torn ACL. There's no guarantee that a player comes back the same. I guess, you know, the younger you are, the better the chances are, but there's not 100% chance that he's going to come back even 90% of the player he was. He might lose a step. He might not be as quick. He might, you know, be just a shell of himself. We don't know. So what I'm going to do with this segment of my podcast is celebrate Kyrie Irving for who he has become, the player he is. So I just spoke about the person and kind of like his, I guess his story, you know, but you know, and speak to like the leadership and all those things in Dallas. But like, this dude has accomplished stuff from the moment he stepped on the floor in college. we knew he was going to be special. I remember people trying to figure out who should the Cavs draft. Should they draft him, or was it Jabari Parker, I think, was in that same draft? I don't know. There was somebody else, and it was like, oh, do we do Kyrie or do we draft this other guy? Without a shadow of a doubt, I was clamoring for Kyrie. It wasn't even a question, because you just knew it when you watched him play. Everything was silky smooth butter. The footwork, the handles, the scoring. You just know it when you see it. You know a hooper when you see it. You don't ask questions. You just know. I knew that when I saw Kyrie, and I'm sure a lot of you out there did too. And if you're too young to remember that version of Kyrie, he was damn good at a very young age. Kyrie Irving is the 2010 McDonald's All-American. Kyrie Irving made the All-Rookie First Team in 2012. He was the NBA Rookie of the Year that year. In 2021, he joined that 50-40-90 club. 50% shooting, 40% from three, 90% from free throw. That's an elite club. Two-time All-NBA third team. All-NBA second team once. NBA All-Star Game MVP in 2014. 9-time NBA All-Star. And I think that 2016 disruption when he didn't make the All-Star Game, I think that's because of an injury. Because if you look at it, he was an All-Star from 2013 to 15, not in 16, but then again in 17, 18, 19, not in 2020, but then again in 2021, not in 22, but then again in 23 and 25. He's very much so deserving of all-star considerations every year at a position where it's hard to distinguish yourself. And if you play in a certain conference, you got to compete with guys like Steph Curry and Dame Lillard, who are like fan favorites, and people just vote them. I mean, they're obviously deserving, but I'm just saying the way that this works, the media already hates your guts. You're Kyrie Irving. This guy was a three-point contest champion in 2013. An NBA champion in 2016. In my opinion, hitting the biggest shot in NBA Finals history in Game 7 in Golden State to win the finals. A game where my Cleveland Cavaliers did one of the most impressive things in the history of sports, which is come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. It had never been done before. A lot of people like to give LeBron a lot of credit. I'm good with that. LeBron deserves a lot of credit. But if you watch the last 5 minutes of that game, last 4 minutes of that game, you realize that nobody could score. Except one guy. And it's Kyrie Irving. Never scared of the moment. Always ready to lead. The dude's got guts. The dude's got courage. The dude is fearless. And the skill to match it. It's not reckless. You know, you watch certain guys play and you know that they're going to be special. And then it actually happens and it's just confirmation. That's what we got out of Kyrie during his career for the last 13 seasons. So he's played for the Cavs where he won a championship, did something really special there. The Boston Celtics, I wouldn't say that was his best version of himself. I'm sure he has a lot of regrets. Things in Brooklyn didn't really pan out like he probably expected. He teamed up with some really good players. It just didn't work out. It goes to show you that just because you link up with your buddies doesn't guarantee that you guys, because you're all good players, you're going to all of a sudden be champions. And then in Dallas, where I think peak Kyrie kind of happened as a leader. The total package. Like physically, he may have been his best in Cleveland. I'm not going to argue that. But from like the leadership standpoint, the defense standpoint, making things work with your teammates, the nuances, the intangibles, he really put it on display in Dallas. And he was killing it this year as an individual player and as a leader. AD goes down, injury after the trade. First game, back from the injury in Dallas. Luka gets traded. Through all that tumultuous time in Dallas, steady rock is Kyrie Irving. So I'm disappointed. I'm sad. It's terrible. I really do hope he comes back strong. I hope he gets a full, speedy recovery. Praying for him. Kyrie, one of my favorites, man. Absolutely. And on the same note, and I won't spend as much time on this topic, Jalen Brunson just turned his ankle, landing on someone's foot, going up for a fast break layup. It looked pretty bad when it happened. I'm not sure if there's an update for his injury status, but I want to make something super clear about the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson is absolutely the heart and soul of that team. Karl Anthony Towns is a fantastic talent. I don't want to shit on him or poo-poo on him. It's not my intention. But in my opinion, I think Jalen Brunson is the heart and soul of the New York Knicks. He's a regular-looking dude. He's not super athletic. He has fine athleticism. He has impeccable body control. He has incredible timing. He's got some really unique shiftiness to him. He's kind of awkward because he's a lefty. That's always different, a different look to defenders. And his story was playing second fiddle in Dallas until he was traded. Well, was it free agency or traded? I forget. Jalen Brunson. But anyways, neither here nor there. Goes to New York and becomes the guy. And this is even before Karl Anthony Towns gets there, whatever. Since he's been in New York, his career has ascended to new heights. He's an all-star, right? Again, at a premium position, point guard, right? With other great point guards in the conference. He's in a huge market, and he's done nothing but shine. He's been fantastic. If you look at their record, for example, and I'm just speaking to the New York Knicks this year, and this is because of him. The New York Knicks are 39-20. 39-20. And then he gets injured. I think they lost a couple of games. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They're 5-5 in their last 10. But immediately his loss is felt. Their offense is sputtering. They don't have that reliable shooting and scoring. He's a big part of their facilitation process when they initiate their offense. Now they're 40-23. They're 3 games ahead of the Bucks. If he continues to miss time, the Bucks can overtake the Knicks in a couple of weeks. An ankle injury like that one, it's potentially could cost him a couple of weeks. So there's a version of this where the Knicks either lose the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference or the Bucks are 1 game behind them in a couple of weeks. I don't know who the Knicks are going to play over the course of the next couple of weeks. I know they got a game with the Kings on Monday, Trailblazers on Wednesday, and then the Warriors next Saturday. I don't know. Can they pull together a few wins? I mean, the Kings and the Blazers are beatable. I don't think the Knicks can beat the Warriors. I think Steph is going to have a field day. And if he doesn't, Jimmy can hurt you too. And then you're playing the Knicks and you're playing the Heat and the Spurs. I don't know. This is a bad look for the Knicks because they have aspirations to make noise in the playoffs. How do you do that without Jalen Brunson? So hopefully he gets back quickly and he gets back fully healthy. No re-aggravation of the injury. Take his time to get back. I mean, this is a tough loss for them. I watched the game. I mean, I forgot who was running point for them in the last game that they played. I'm trying to remember. I think whoever it was had 6 assists maybe. Which is not bad. I think it was Miles McBride was running the point. 7 points, 6 assists. That ain't Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is 26 points a game, 7.5 assists a game. You're not going to be able to replace that. That needs a committee. He's out for a while. I don't know. They'll probably reevaluate in a couple weeks, and then we'll see if he can make it back for a late season push. But this basically means he's out for a bulk majority of March. It's a tough situation. Really tough situation. All right, so I opened kind of my opening soliloquy or whatever, discussing my goals and my intentions on this channel and how I was going to do my podcast. And I want to celebrate the good teams in the league. So I want to celebrate the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are currently situated in first in not only the Eastern Conference, but they're the best record in the NBA. Folks, they have an 84% win percentage. Within the conference, they're 36-7. At home, the record is 29-4. Away, it's not that much worse. It's 24-6. Winners of their last 13 games, with key and signature wins against the top teams in the East and the top teams in the West. People forget this team, the Cavs, beat the Lakers by 30. People forget that the Cavs beat the Thunder. I think they split with the Thunder. People forget that the Cavs split the series with the Celtics. And actually, the way that they beat the Celtics is really hilarious. The Celtics jumped on the Cavs early on 2 different occasions. At least 2, maybe 3. I know for a fact at least 2. They had leads of over 20 points. And one of the games, the Cavs were able to come back and fight back very valiantly. They ended up losing the game. But the Cavs came back and made it really interesting, very, very close. And if you look at the way the scoring went, the Cavs basically outscored the Celtics for 3 quarters. The same thing happened in the most recent game. Like the story about the Cavs, when you listen to the national media, they're like, yeah, this is really nice. The Cavs are a nice story. Love it. Small market team, all those things. They don't need your pity. What they need you to do is watch them. If you watch the Cavs, you'll understand what the team is. It's a team. They have a guy who's considered a star. Donovan Mitchell is absolutely a star. And the questions about him, can he lead the team? Can he push them through the playoffs and get them to the next level? We're starting to see this team actually morph into a really impactful team. Like, I heard somebody say that they were all-time great. You don't know the Cavs are all-time great. That won't happen until the playoffs and if they win an NBA Finals. Then you start having conversations about how good they are compared to other champions. That's not the conversation to have. The conversation to have is who the Cavaliers are becoming over the course of the season. That indicates that they're better than last season. That indicates that they're going to do something differently in the playoffs. Because the last couple years, they've sputtered. They've sputtered because of injuries. They've sputtered because of identity crisis. They've sputtered because of coaching. There's so many different things that the Cavs have questions about. But they're answering certain questions during the season. One of the questions was, where's Evan Mobley going to be in 2025? Is he going to finally take that step? Well, apparently under Kenny Atkinson, the answer to that is this year, the emergence of Evan Mobley. He's going to win NBA Defensive Player of the Year. It would have probably have gone to Victor Wembanyama. I think he was going to win it. But he gets injured. Well, I shouldn't say injured. Out because of a medical issue. It's Evan Mobley. How would you know that Evan Mobley is a valid candidate for Defensive Player of the Year? Watch the Cavs. The reason why people don't know that Evan Mobley has ascended is because they don't watch. They're busy watching the Lakers. They're busy watching the Knicks. They're busy watching the Celtics. And they're not watching the Cavs and the Thunder. People don't really know who's on the Thunder. They might know that Chet Holmgren's been injured, and they know who SGA is, but they've never gotten to know Lou Dort, or Isaiah Joe, or Isaiah Hartenstein, and how big that was, or, Caruso or these guys. They've never even really seen him play. They don't know Case and Wallace. I never knew any of these guys last year, but I do now because I'm making content for my channel and I'm watching the teams, and I truly believe that the Thunder and the Cavs are on a very possible destination in the finals. I'm not saying that they're both guaranteed to get there. I'm saying when you watch them play, you're going to put them in that conversation. And Evan Mobley is one of the reasons the Cavs would get to the NBA Finals. It would be his emergence. Evan Mobley's scoring is up. But it's not just that the scoring is up, it's how he's scoring. He's knocking down threes with reliability. His footwork in and around the paint is getting him easy buckets. Little baby hooks, little jump shots, the patience around the rim rolls, the easy points. And his defense. Are you kidding me? If he's not blocking the shot, he convinced somebody on the other team to just not take it because he was there. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to block a shot to make a defensive presence. Your existence in the paint might deter the shot. That's Evan Mobley. Running the floor. Making his buckets. Free throws. Defense. Jared Allen's kind of regressed. But the Cavs aren't feeling it because of the emergence of Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell isn't going to get any MVP votes, unfortunately, but he's deserving of the considerations. The Cavs are the best team in the NBA by record. If you watch them, you would say, yeah, this is a team right here. It's because of him. The culture. His willingness to kind of give up that superhero ball all the time. He still has to do it from time to time. I mean, it's who he is, right? The ability to score over anybody. He's unstoppable on offense. The bag is crazy. Shooting is impeccable. Long distance, attacking the rim, the fadeaway, the teardrop in the paint. You can get it all types of ways. And then Darius Garland. I mean, this dude has been so consistent this year. I almost think like he might be as important to the Cavs' success as Evan Mobley. I think D. Mitch has had to kind of step back a little bit offensively to let these other guys play a little, but Darius Garland is picking apart defenses. I don't know, he's shooting like 90+% from the free throw line. He's got to be shooting 40% from three or near it. Games where he's got 8-9 assists, games where he's got 30+ points, whatever it takes. And then the acquisition of DeAndre Hunter. And the depth that the Cavs have at that position. The Cavs went from having no small forward to having 3-4 guys who can rotate in and give the other team's best scorer hell. Like Sam Merrill's like just a regular dude, but he knocks down shots and he's a willing defender. DeAndre Hunter, fearless when the shots are there. He'll take them and make them. And he's there for Jason Tatum. They literally brought him in for the Celtics. And then Dean Wade. You got a guy who can come in and play 3. He could come in and play the 4. He can hit shots. He defends. Alter shots that are, in the paint. The Cavs are the deepest team in the league. And they have talent across the entire roster at each position. And I see some people in the live chat and they're talking about the Cavs. So let's take a look at what people have to say. Shout out to Spurs Ann. Razor says, the Cavs have not been playing well since the Celtics game. Hopefully they do better tomorrow. Yeah, I would agree with you. The game against the Trailblazers was a nail-biter down to the line, right? And then against the Hornets, a team that the Cavs are much better than, there was trouble. I think those are very typical moments of any team when you play down to your opponents. And I had that conversation with one of the homies and I agreed with him. He said the Cavs are playing down to their opposition. I don't want to make an excuse for the Cavs, but I guess we could say it happens from time to time. You just want to make sure you come out with victories. But I agree. And maybe it's just been too many games and too many nights. I don't know. But they definitely need to clean some things up and play a little bit tighter. I think offensively is where we're seeing some of that. And, defensively, that's been their calling card, right? Razor says, Evan Mobley is my favorite player. He has been showing new things throughout the season. Players, when they add wrinkles from season to season, it enhances their value to their team. One of the things that has prevented Giannis from being greater than he is the fact that he can't shoot. Anything outside the paint is very much a struggle. His free throw shooting. If he improves his free throw shooting by 5 to 10%, if he can make a 15-footer reliably, just think about what that does to open up his game. The defense has to loosen up. They can't just stack the paint. They can't just assume he's going to miss, right? So I think that's kind of the same situation with Mobley, right? By expanding the ability to score in different ways on different levels, teams have to respect you more, and it just opens things up for you and other players on your team too. Spurs Ann agrees, says Mobley is underrated. He's solid. I said on a live stream publicly, I don't know if I was on Showtime on Sports or if I was on OG Chill's podcast, I thought the ceiling for Evan Mobley was like Chris Bosh, Kevin Garnett. Now, I'm not saying he's going to reach those levels. I'm just saying he has that type of trajectory that would make him Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like Chris Bosh was a fantastic player. I do think that Mobley can be better than that because I think Mobley can be better defensively. And I think he could be as good offensively. Maybe better. You never know. Kevin Garnett would be like extreme upside. To me, I hold Kevin Garnett to the highest regard. The big ticket was him. Like one of the best big men to ever play. Like I know he's not Kareem. I know he's not Hakeem. I know he's not Wilt. But Kevin Garnett was amazing for like 15 years in the NBA. For a big man, it's unheard of to be that dominant for that long. He was a league MVP. He's a champion. So for me to say that Evan Mobley has that type of upside, and I'm not saying he's going to be Kevin Garnett. That's a hard thing to do. That's lofty. I'm just saying I see things in Evan Mobley's game that make me think he can ascend to those types of levels. We'll see. He's a walking double-double. This dude is incredible defensively. His offense continues to improve. We'll see. Angry Skips, a modern-day Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was an amazing defender and had a very, very good jump shot. There were several years where he averaged over 20 points a game. In the dead ball era, on a team that had Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And a bunch of all these other spot shooters, right? He even started his career playing next to David Robinson. So when you look at Tim Duncan's numbers, don't be fooled. Those are good numbers. You got to think about the era. And I got Tim Duncan in my top 10 all time. Nobody wants to talk about Tim Duncan. And I'll do that. I'll make a video for you guys discussing my favorite players of all time and where I rank them. Tim Duncan is a top 10 player all time. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You can't be that good for that long and not be in the top 10 all time. And I don't know if you consider him a power forward or a center, different parts of his career, whatever. He's in that conversation. Razor, I agree. He says the Cavs playoff run will be a tough one. Really only until they get to the Boston Celtics. That's where it gets tough. I think before that, I think it's smooth sailing, honestly. If they somehow get matched up with the Pistons, I think the Pistons are a problem. They're a tough team. I don't know who threatens them, and maybe the Bucks, right? Maybe the Bucks can take a game from the Cavs. I don't see them winning 2 games against the Cavs. Nah. Spurs Ann says Spidey was my rookie of the year, not Simmons. You know, you look back and you're like, how the hell did Ben Simmons get rookie of the year? Was he really good? I don't know. I never really liked Ben Simmons. I thought he was too one-dimensional. Hunter been shooting like crazy with the Cavs. I don't know if you saw my video, Angry Skips, but I made a video discussing DeAndre Hunter as the most important trade in this NBA season. If the Cavs get to the NBA Finals, it's going to be because of someone like him, right? It's obviously Garland and Mitchell and Mobley, but like they brought DeAndre Hunter to be the Boston stopper. And I don't know if can anybody really stop Jason Tatum? I think the answer to that is obviously no. But slowing him down, preventing him from going off for 40, 50 points, timely stops, a rotation of some combination of like Dean Wade, DeAndre Hunter, Sam Merrill, Max Strus, all putting in work, trying to corral and curb some of the incredible scoring from Jason Tatum and even on the same level, Jaylen Brown. But those guys are for the Celtics, right? Had to talk about the Cavs. Had to. They're my favorite coming out of the East. Porzingis is healthy. If Porzingis plays all possible games against the Cavs, the Celtics are going to be a tough out. They can win that series. They can beat the Cavs. I'm not going to sleep on the Celtics. But if Porzingis is not available or is not playing all those games or is limited, Mobley's going to eat him up. You're going to see the ascension of Mobley. The conversation is going to be like, this guy has arrived. Without Porzingis, they can't do anything about it. All right, let's talk the Western Conference. All right. And these are going to be some quick hitters because they probably need their own, podcasts or videos or whatever. Guys, the Denver Nuggets are currently sitting third in the West. They're 41-22. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. Everybody's talking about the Lakers. Like the Denver Nuggets don't always kick their ass. They're pretending like the Lakers only beat them once in like the last 4 years. It's not an exaggeration if you think about it. The Nuggets have been bouncing the Lakers out of the playoffs perennially. And in the regular season, they're kicking their ass every time. Except the one time, the most recent time they played. Are these guys going to play again? I don't know. I have to look at the schedule. What do I expect to see from another Nuggets versus Lakers matchup? I do not expect to see Nikola Jokic getting locked down by the Lakers. Shout out to JJ Redick and the coaching staff over in LA for putting together the perfect game plan to slow down Joker. That won't happen again. You must be crazy. When does Joker ever drop 2 duds in a row on any team? This guy's a walking triple-double. He is their best point guard. He is their best center. He is their best everything. He's a below-average defender. His motor on defense is weak. His aptitude on defense, below average. But his offensive powers, if you will, like Avengers, right? His offensive powers are second to none. There's only one player you could possibly put ahead of Joker for the MVP voting. He's right there. In fact, if you told me your MVP this year is Joker, I'm okay with it. I'm not happy about it, but I'll accept it because he is that fantastic. I'll pick someone else for my MVP. I'll talk more about that later. But the Nuggets are third in the West, and they're like a half a game or tied with the Lakers. And the Lakers are very hot. Everything's cooking right now with like Luka and that whole thing. The Lakers have won 8 in a row. LeBron is playing fantastic basketball on the defensive side of the ball. Luka's playing some defense. Luka's is getting his footing offensively. Austin Reeves is back from his calf injury. Rui's out with his knee. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But the Lakers are cooking. But you can't sleep on the Nuggets. And I think the national media, the portrayal that it's like the Lakers are all of a sudden title contenders, these people are insane. That is recency bias. And they're caught up in moment, like prisoner of the moment syndrome. The Nuggets have been kicking the Lakers' ass for years now. Joker You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a thing. We can't pretend like the Nuggets aren't capable of beating the Lakers just because Joker had one bad game. I'm not going to let one game influence my entire thought process on the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray, just like for the last 3 minutes of every game against the Lakers last season, was just killing them. What, you expect Gabe Vincent to stop Jamal Murray for an entire series? And if Michael Porter Jr. can contribute and make his threes, then he's an impact player in those moments. Aaron Gordon is a very good player, very trusty on defense, can get some buckets, right? Rim rolls, things like that. And Joker is Joker. And Chris Brown has come along, right? We're starting to see some guys develop, right? I'm not saying that the Denver Nuggets are guaranteed to beat the Lakers because the Lakers have Luka now. And they're playing great basketball. And it looks like maybe JJ Redick can coach. I don't know. But to just dismiss the Nuggets because of one game where the Lakers defended him impeccably, which, by the way, I don't think they can reproduce that. They might play him tough and they might try to repeat what they did. You're not going to stop Joker like that twice. That's not going to happen. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments there. Spurs and Lakers showed their hand for the playoffs. I don't know if it's all that, but I mean, it's all about execution. You can have the best game plans in the world. You can have the best, ideas in the world, but you still have to execute it, and you got to play the game. And Joker's not going to buckle in the playoffs. Like, he's not just going to lay down and lose to the Lakers. It's not going to happen. What up, Goon? What up? Razor says Lakers will do harm in the playoffs, but I don't know if they can win it all this year. Having Williams would have helped them, though. Yeah, so the trade for Williams from Charlotte kind of got, I don't know, it was like some kind of a physical failed or something. They needed that center because that center gives you two things. They give you rim protection. They give you rim rolls, right? It's always that paint action. But you need presence, and right now it's Jackson Hayes. And he's doing a fine job. Look, I have nothing bad to say about Jackson Hayes. But that can't be your only thing. Otherwise, you're doing it by committee, and you're playing small ball, and you got to try to get Joker in action, right? He's a liability on defense. Let's be honest. He doesn't play good defense at all. I think you're better off trying to get Joker in foul trouble in the playoffs, But the refs don't really want to call those fouls. And by the way, part of the reason Joker doesn't play defense well is because he doesn't want to pick up fouls and get in foul trouble. That's something a lot of people won't discuss. Spurs, and I agree. The matchup will be interesting. It will. Nuggets versus Lakers would be a very interesting matchup. Angry Skip says, Nuggets need to pick up a 3 and D 2 guard in the offseason. And they are back to favorites. That's hard to come by. Everybody wants a 3 and D guy. Easier said than done, Angry Skips, for sure. They could definitely use it. All right, let's stick with the West Coast. We're going to talk OKC Thunder, and then we're going to talk Lakers, and we're going to talk Warriors and kind of finish up the show. All right, OKC Thunder are the best team in the NBA by some metrics. In some ways, they're better than the Cavs. And I'm a big Cavs fan. That's my home team. But the Thunder are legit. The Thunder are fantastic. The amount of disrespect the Thunder get and the amount of negligent media members that don't want to talk about the Thunder on a regular basis. Like, they just throw it out there. Oh, it's a nice story. They have the, in my opinion, MVP of the league in SGA. They have a fierce, ferocious defense. They're getting Chet back, who helps them both defensively and offensively. I get it. He's not big, bulky, strong, but he's capable of doing a lot of different things. He makes them more dynamic. They've got guys emerging like Case and Wallace. They got guys emerging like Isaiah Joe and Lou Dort. This team is built to give people problems in the playoffs, to make your life hell and miserable, because they play the perimeter tough, they close out on threes, they defend the paint fiercely. That's a real defense. Real defenses move through the playoffs. They win games. Like a boa constrictor, shit gets tighter. So don't sleep on the Thunder. Don't listen to the national media saying, the Lakers are all of a sudden title contenders. Are you crazy? This team has been dominant since the first week of the season. That's a half a year. You're going to tell me that the Lakers, who have been playing good basketball for the last 4 or 5 weeks, now all of a sudden they're favorites to be, to be title contenders? Nah, you go with the proven commodity. And a commodity that's getting better day by day and has the league MVP and the league's best defense. Depth behind all those defenders, too. Their second line plays defense as good as their first line. People need to stop disrespecting the OKC Thunder. That's a damn good team. The torture chamber. Telling you, man. The torture chamber locked up Donovan Mitchell when they played in Cleveland and OKC. Made him look like he couldn't even score like he normally does. I think he held him to like 13 points or something, or 11 points or 14 points. Who the hell does that to Donovan Mitchell? Not many guys can do that. I guess the torture chamber can. And SGA is absolutely your league MVP. Plays both sides of the ball, scores, passes, does whatever it takes for that team to win. He's the heart and soul of that team, and that team is damn good. The disrespect, yes, that's true about Wiggins. Wiggins has become a nice player. The disrespect to the Thunder is criminal, and it needs to stop. And look, the Lakers have been playing really well. They're not better than the Thunder. They have not proven more than the Thunder. Hell no. The Thunder beat all the best teams in the league. They beat all the teams in the league. They beat the Cavs, damn it. They could beat the Celtics. They could beat the Knicks. They could beat everybody. They could beat the Warriors. They could beat the Lakers. In fact, I expect them to bury the Lakers in a regular season matchup. Seriously. And I can't wait to see that matchup in the playoffs. Luka against this defense. LeBron against this defense. What are you going to do when you have to hit tough shots? And these guys are all up in your face. Bro put the Donovan Mitchell into the torture chamber. That's right, Goon. That's right. Razor says their rim, perimeter, and paint protection is top notch. They got so many options to score, and they got Shea, who's the MVP this season. I'm with you. And to kind of wrap things up here with the last two topics. All right, the Lakers. I'm a quick minute. Luka is rounding into shape. Like, not actual shape because he's kind of sloppy, but he's starting to play really good offensively. He's getting to his spots. He's knocking down his threes. He's finding guys, tons of assists. It's actually hurt LeBron's assist numbers. I don't think LeBron cares, honestly. I used to think that this was going to be like a hard transition period for LeBron. I think very strategically, LeBron wants this, right? This probably extends his career a couple of years. But the Lakers are better today than they were a couple of months ago because they're playing defense, and now they're offensively more dangerous. Luka's 25 years old or something, right? LeBron's in his elderly stages of his career. He's in the tail end. And they're a good team. Austin Reeves. Rui was playing really well before he got hurt. Jackson Hayes has been playing really well. Defensively, the team's really good. Gabe Vincent, I think he gets exploited in the playoffs. He becomes a non-factor at all. I think he gets chewed up and spit out in the playoffs. How impactful will Dalton Connect be in the playoffs? How much of a role will he have? Dorian Finney-Smith scores 3 points in 30 minutes. There's a lack of depth on the Lakers, but at the top end, as LeBron would say, heavy as shit. See what I mean? The Thunder would kick their ass in a series, just on depth alone. That's what I'm thinking. But the Lakers are playing very good, and it's because their defense has really improved the last month and a half. Really January, right? January and February, 2 months. They've been fantastic defensively. And LeBron, shout out to LeBron. He's been playing great defensively. And he seems really happy in terms of him playing. He's not happy to see Stephen A. Smith. He doesn't like Stephen A. Smith because he can't control Stephen A. Smith. But story for another day. The last team I want to discuss is the Golden State Warriors. I didn't think this was going to be the case, but they are really good. The Jimmy Butler trade is a win. It is absolutely working out well for them. He makes Steph better because Steph less defensive attention. Steph is more open. Steph can find him. He can find Steph. Dre gets another player to kind of get involved in the offense. Jimmy is a fantastic defender. He defends the paint. He defends the perimeter. He's tough. He's mentally tough. He's physically tough. The Warriors are going to be a tough out the rest of the year. The Warriors are currently ranked 6th in the East, or excuse me, 6th in the Western Conference. They're 3 games behind the Rockets. They're 4 games behind the Grizz. So there's a version of this where the Warriors probably finish 4th. They get a first round bye, or excuse me, a first round home court matchup against whoever the 5th is at the time. But I do expect the Warriors to move up. I do expect the Warriors to give the Lakers a hard time. Can they beat the Lakers? Maybe. Maybe they're a player away from beating a top 1 or 2 teams. They're not beating the Thunder. Can they beat the Nuggets? Well, the question is, do you have an answer for Joker? Does Curry have enough of those heroics left in him in a playoff run with Jimmy Butler? That's going to be really interesting to watch. So my 3 teams that I'm watching very carefully in the West. Thunder are a lock. So I'm watching the Lakers, I'm watching the Nuggets, and I'm watching the Warriors. The Thunder are a lock. I don't need to worry about them. In the East, it's kind of sort of similar. But the locks are the Cavaliers and the Celtics. The sleepers, in my opinion, are the Pistons and the Bucks. That's where I think the danger is in the playoffs. All right, I'm just going to kind of take a look at some of the comments here before I close out the show. The Goon says, Luka's playing the best defense of his career, averaging over 3 steals per night. LeBron is able to play both sides of the ball at a decent level. I do not trust the rest of that team, though. Interesting. I trust a couple of those guys. I like what Austin Reeves brings to the table, and I like what Rui had become and kind of where he was going. Do I trust that in the playoffs? I guess I'm kind of with you in that respect. Austin Reeves, not really a proven commodity in the playoffs. Definitely not Rui, right? But Luka and LeBron are enough to carry a bulk majority of that load. So maybe that's enough to get them through most of the playoffs, right? How is Luka's defense lately? Asked Spurzan. It's been good. As crazy as it sounds, Luka's been playing defense. He's doing it. Lakers' absolute ceiling is the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, I'd say that's their ceiling. I mean, don't you think there's a version of this where they lose in the second round? Depending on the matchup. I'm telling you, the Warriors could beat them in a series. If you watch the Warriors play, they're dangerous. Luka's defense worries me. LeBron James and Luka will constantly need to score over 30 points. I agree with that statement. They don't have enough depth. The depth is their weakness. They get nothing from their bench. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I would bring Austin Reeves off the bench because the bench is so weak. Yeah, I agree. Warriors are big away from being a contender. Yeah, that's a good point. That would help them address the Joker problem, right? Oh my goodness, what a show, what a show, what a show. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. We had like 10 viewers in the first podcast, 10 concurrent viewers. 1 hour, fantastic. I want to thank you guys for being here. Please do like this video on the way out. Please share our content. That helps the channel out tremendously. It's a new channel with new content, trying to grow it. I'm going to have to really do my best to make the best content I can, but I'm also going to need you guys to help share the content as well. If you got social media, share it there. If you got friends, family that like the NBA, let them know I'm making content. Let them check out some of my videos or the pod. And shout out to the Goon for holding it down with moderator duties. Spurs and Angry Skips. Razor, thank you guys for coming through. And I'm really looking forward to the channel growing and covering all the stuff here in the league. Thank you guys for all that you do. Big salute to you guys. And comment on all my videos. Love the engagement. Thank you.